SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Tired of your old tractor crying when it sees a hill? Or coughing more than Uncle Earl in pollen season? Trade up now at Sid's Trading Company. Coyote and TYM tractors so mean, they'd plow a cornfield in reverse, uphill. Get her did at Sid's. SidsTrading.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in on this Tuesday night. I almost said Wednesday. That's where I am mentally, but I'm so glad that you guys are here. We don't even go live on Wednesdays. Why was I about to say Wednesday? Does not matter. I am so glad that you guys are here, as you always are, on this edition of the podcast. Ole Miss just wrapped up a loss, third loss of the season. This time to Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, 2-1 the final. They got walked off in the bottom of the ninth by the Golden Eagles, and now they enter conference play going to Texas, an undefeated Texas team who has got unbelievably impressive numbers as well. So this week, not off to the start that Ole Miss wanted to have, but, of course, we will talk about that tonight, read your comments and more on this edition of the show. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Wherever you get them, just search Rebel Report and subscribe and leave a rating and a review if you like what you hear anyway. But don't forget to subscribe to the podcast feed. And also, of course, right here on YouTube. Leave a comment, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And this edition of the show is presented by Logan Smith Shelter Insurance. Home, auto, life, or business. Home, auto, life, or business. He's in Brookhaven, but he can take care of you anywhere in Mississippi. Just give him a call. 601-823-3500. 601-823-3500. Give him a call. You get a specialized custom insurance plan. And even if you have insurance, even if you have auto or home or life or business, give him a call. Get a quote. It's worth hearing him out. You might be surprised in a good way with what you hear. So, quick box score house cleaning, as we tend to do after games. Ole Miss loses 2-1 in Hattiesburg. 3 hits. That is it for Ole Miss in this game. 3 hits. One of them is Utermark. He had a double, I believe, in the first. He did strike out twice. Becerra and Foley were the other two that had a hit in the game. Reuter struck out 3 times. Utermark struck out twice, as I mentioned. Foley struck out twice. Dom Decker got on base with a hit by pitch, but Ole Miss only walked once, and that was Utermark, and were hit by a pitch once. So 5 times did an Ole Miss batter reach base in this game against Southern Miss. They pitched the heck out of it. Ray was only 24 pitches. I was surprised that they took him out as quickly as they did. Obviously, they have plans for the weekend, and they had a plan going into the game to really limit things. But, yeah, I mean, he was really good, though. 2 2/3, only struck out 1, but didn't allow a hit, didn't walk anybody. He was awesome and very efficient in that 2 2/3. My guy Marco only gave up 1 hit in 1 1/3, and he gave way to Owen Kelly. Did give up 3 hits and that solo home run. Did walk 1. Gibson was good, struck out 1, didn't give up a hit or a run. Did hit a batter though in 1 2/3. Robertson was good. Did give up, that run. Right, that was attributed to him, but struck out 2. I mean, Ole Miss pitched the heck out of it. When you only give up 2 runs on the road at a top 10 team, you did enough. It was the offense that really struggled tonight. So, nothing but other than, I guess, questioning the plan, although, again, they only gave up 2 runs on the road at a top 10 team. So there's really no questioning the pitching plan. It's the offense that was not good tonight. And look, there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can look at it from a glass half full perspective and say, and this is true, right? Everything I'm about to say is true. A loss at this particular Southern Miss team is not going to kill you, right? They're really good. Alabama went there and got run ruled. Mississippi State last week went there and got beat by 1 as well. It's a really freaking good Southern Miss team. As you saw tonight, they've got a plethora of options on the mound. They're really good. They're number one in the RPI. That'll, of course, go down as they go through Sun Belt play, but they've played a really difficult schedule in the non-conference, and they have been awesome in that. It's a really good team. Okay, so losing this game from a big picture perspective, it's whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to hurt you at all in really any way, shape, or form. But going into conference play, going into the Texas series, you have an offense that against the better teams that they play, and I mean, really just in general, I know they did it better this past weekend with Evansville, but it's Evansville. You have an offense right now that does not manufacture runs. I mean, Ole Miss tonight, how many times did they really square up the ball? I mean, Furnace, if the wind wasn't blowing in, that's probably out of the ballpark, but it was, and so it wasn't. But I mean, Ole Miss hit the ball hard all night, but it is an offense that really, I mean, from an uneducated perspective like mine, it feels like they are so obsessed with hitting with power or hitting for power that you don't have offense that is manufactured. You don't have guys that are just looking to, not even just put the ball in the gap, but just put the ball in play. And they don't manufacture offense. And that's really concerning. And then even though they didn't have an error attributed to them tonight, you still had a couple of weird things happen in the field. You failed to field a bunt, ended up not harming you, but still couldn't execute that. You had the weird thing with Randall and Utermark where Randall called off Utermark late and almost dropped an easy fly ball. You had the weird thing in the ninth with Foley coming up out of his stance and ended up walking the batter anyway. But even that was a little odd. And this team, again, it's one loss, one that's not going to hurt you at all. If you go into this weekend, not a big deal, right? But look at Texas here. So you did that tonight. You score 1 run on 3 hits, and you've really, again, in the non-conference, have not really manufactured offense. And then you go into this series at Texas. They have 7 guys batting .310 or better. They have 5 guys batting .333 or better on the season, everyday starters. 2 of the starting pitchers you're going to see on this team. Hold on, I'm sorry. I just screwed up. 2 of them that you're going to see have a sub 200 batting average against. One of them, opponents are hitting 143 off of. One of them, opponents are hitting 169 off of. One of them has a 42-3 strikeout to walk ratio. A 42-3 strikeout to walk ratio. This is an elite Texas team. And so I've got a lot of questions. It's one midweek game. You don't want to overreact to it. But I think that if you are doing nothing but positive spin right now, I think that's not the right approach either. Now, again, not the end of the world. There's a lot to like about this team, especially with the pitching staff, and they showed that again tonight. But I've got a lot of questions, and they can answer them this weekend, but they have a tall task in front of them, and I do not expect Ole Miss to generate much offense this weekend. It's going to be hard to win an SEC series on the road if you cannot. So, tough start to the week, considering the opponent, considering conference play, and just the manner in which they lost. But from a resume perspective, not going to be hurt at all. That was kind of an elementary take on what happened, but that is what happened tonight. So we'll read some of your comments before we get out of here. Going to be a much quicker podcast tonight. I've got something to take care of, and so we'll hang up and get going. But for now, I want to tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Priority One Bank. They make you their priority every single day with their online banking platform, local loan servicing, and decision-making. The way they treat you, it's a great place at Priority One Bank. Bank with me there at Priority One Bank. To the comments we go. Funny how they lost that game. Basically how this team goes to script. Pitch is great, mistakes in the field, and can't hit water off of a boat. Not a bad loss, just hurts to lose to a subpar in-state program. I hear you. This is a really good Southern Miss team, though. Again, they run-ruled Alabama. They beat State last week. The non-conference schedule is really good. They're a good team for sure. But this is kind of where I am with this, too. You're exactly right. I mean, they're a good team, but it's 0-3 against decent to quality competition, and offensively, it's been bad. I mean, Coastal Carolina, you get to a third game against Coastal. Here, I'll go back to that game, actually, because remember, Coastal's two starting pitchers got hurt before that weekend and did not pitch for Coastal that weekend. And in game 3, quote unquote, of a series, and Coastal really down on pitching, Ole Miss scored 2 runs on 6 hits. Also had 3 errors for a good measure. But and 2 of them came off of a Dom Decker home run, the only 2 came off of a Dom Decker home run, which I don't think you're going to get much of that in conference play anyway. So that is the only offense that Ole Miss generated against the next best team that they faced this season. That's where the concern is coming from. Yeah, I mean, look, it's great that they've beaten up on lesser competition, but when push has come to shove against the better teams they've seen so far, it has not been a pretty sight. That doesn't mean that this is going to be them all season, but I think if you're not seeing that, you're not seeing what is reality in front of you. Now the question is, do you take 1-3 this week if it's offered? 2-2 is asking a ton. More likely 0-4 than 2-2. I mean, yeah, at this point right now, if you offered, quote unquote, offered me 1 win in Austin, I think I would take it right now. Just get home. I mean, Texas is elite, man. I mean, they simply are, and it looks like they're winning tonight as well. And so when you're talking about conference play, don't get swept on the road when you're home series and you're a borderline host. So when you do that, you're fine. So yeah, I would take 1 right now. If you offered it to me, I would take that. Pitching decisions were all fine by me, except I kind of wanted to see Robertson continue late. I did too. The main thing that is frustrating is the lack of communication between Foley and... Yeah, that was weird, right? How does that happen, especially in that spot? Southern Miss has some arms, no doubt, but some of the approaches at the plate were downright embarrassing. Yep. It's a feast or famine offense, but the problem is they famine a lot more than they feast. There's your quote of the night. Football team's going to be so good, though, no one would think this game as so big if basketball was relevant for the tournament. I hear what you're saying. They do play tomorrow. Yay. I mean, quite frankly, I think the faster that they can be done having to play essentially meaningless games, the better, so they can completely focus on getting better in the transfer portal. I think Chris Beard is lucky in a way. I think we've talked about this before, but I have a feeling there would be a lot greater outrage about the way the season went had football not essentially lasted into February right up to the point where baseball begins. I think he's gotten a pass because a lot of the non-conference losses happened during a great football run, so people were not as engaged in that. And then, you go deep into the postseason, portal season happens, Trinidad thing happens, and then suddenly it's baseball. People did not get to really appreciate how disappointing of a season basketball was. And I think that even though fans didn't show up, nor should they, by the way, I'm not a fan shamer. When the team loses 11 of 12, I don't expect there to be a crowd. And at no program in the country would there be a crowd with that being the team's record going into it. Even at like North Carolina or Kansas, though, the blue blood programs that wouldn't have that. So there was fans there, but I think that had football ended after the Egg Bowl or whatever, and people only had basketball to consume for that period of time, the reaction would be uglier than it currently is. How many times tonight did you think that's a non-competitive at-bat? Most of the night. Most of the night. Makes the Kentucky series critical? Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you've got to come home and, I mean, you have to win. That's a must-win series, depending on what happens this weekend, obviously. But that is a must-win series next weekend with Kentucky. But, I mean, I hate that I kind of feel like I'm overreacting a little bit tonight. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm being too strong, but I don't. This isn't the first time I've talked about any of the issues that showed themselves tonight in this game. And you're going to play a lot of games against teams that have the caliber arms that Southern Miss does. I mean, they're really good. And frankly, you're going to play teams that have more talent across the board than Southern Miss does. You're going to play more talented teams than Baylor. You're going to play more talented teams than Coastal Carolina. It's the same stuff that we've talked about. It's not like this was just a one-off night. The jury's not out. You don't write the book on this team or anything like that, but that's the same problems. You're back this year? Yes, I do. Where's he going to go? It takes two to tango. You've got to be offered a job to take a job. And what high-level job would be offering him right now? Maybe there is one. I just don't think that that's going to happen. But got a lot of work to do, a ton of work to do. And as I've said before, and I'm a very repetitive person, I know, but if anybody can get this team out of this, it is Chris Beard. If anybody can do it, it's him. I've also, as I've told you before, though, it's good that you're hearing the right things. It's good that he is saying the right things, and he is saying the right things right now. That's a good thing. That doesn't move me at all. Just go get good players out of the portal and turn them into winners. Everything else is just kind of white noise to me. Same team as last year offensively, can't score unless they hit a home run, can't have a base hit to save their lives. And that's exactly the point, especially like tonight when the wind is blowing hard in. It's going to that was a really hard place to hit home runs out of. A normal day and that furnace ball goes out. I know the cameraman really twice the camera guy did that. That angle was bad and made it look like both of those balls were hit to Laurel. But on a typical night, that ball probably goes over the fence and Ole Miss wins. But wasn't a typical night, and so when the wind's blowing in or whatever, can you change your approach and slap the ball around and make things happen offensively? This team has not proven that they have the ability to do that. Maybe they will this weekend. Have not proven that to this point. So we shall see. In the meantime, I really appreciate you guys again. I'm sorry. I know I'm cutting this off early, but I do got to go. But I do appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff, despite tonight's content not being as fun as other nights. We'll be back live on Thursday, as we always are. And then, of course, Sunday to recap the weekend. I want to do some extra edition stuff in the meantime. Hopefully, we're able to do that. There was an article actually specifically about the apparent lack of resources Ole Miss was able to give the previous head coach, and man, it's just disingenuous garbage. And so maybe I'll record some extra thoughts about that this week. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I will. But in the meantime, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.